hard strata problem, direct deposits. That's going to detect and show the user ID, the employer, and the start of the transaction date that a direct deposit occurs regularly that meets these requirements. And this is one of the hardest problems, strata problems, especially if you don't know how to use a self-join. This video is going to be the self-join method. So in order to use a self-join, we have the same data set, and we are going to have to search through this data set twice, through this table and the same table again, where these conditions are met. So here is and we need the transaction amount. Right here. Okay, and this is where we have to do the joins. So we need to have the same employer from the first set equal to the same employer on the second set. We need to have the same ID because it has to be the same person. So and a dot user ID is equal to b dot user ID, and we need to do a date difference, day, transaction date here, transaction date there is greater or equal to 30, and the amount has to be within $25. So we have to do a dot transaction amount, and this should be absolute value for the results, because sometimes it could go up or down, just depends. There's some of the results are either way. So 25, and let's actually just run this for now and see what we get. Okay, here we get a table. This table is a good start. We also need to make sure that it's not the same date, because when you do a self-join, it's going to join on itself. So this date needs to be different than this date. And let's save this, CT as. And now we're going to make our table look like this. We need to select the user ID, the employer, and the transaction date from CTE. Right here, employer from CTE. And we're going to group by, yeah, it's confused right now. We need to group by this, the user ID and employer, and do the minimum transaction date. This is going to find the first one, and we're going to call this the conversion date. This is the start date. The column transaction date was, okay, I know what's going on. Transaction date from DD transaction. Let's, oh, I have transaction date on here twice. Interesting. Here we go. And we solved the problem right here. This is what it's supposed to look like. And notice how Apple's on here twice. So you can't just do a group by once. You have to do it through this method. The last thing I will say, and the solution didn't account for this, but technically the user ID is supposed to have more than $200, and they should have made it so this solution actually fails. So in user ID in, select user ID from the transactions table, the initial one, group by user ID, comma, the transaction date. This has to be on a monthly basis. So month there. Having the sum, so we have to use a having statement since we're doing group by. Having summing, so the sum of the transaction amount greater than 200. So select user ID. Oh, a.user ID, because this is within the self-join table. Close group within a subquery. Oh, having some transaction greater than 200. Oh, we don't need this A. Okay, and we still solved it. But technically, they should have made this a little trickier where user ID doesn't have $200 and it would not solve the problem. But anyway, this is, like I said, one of the hardest problems if you don't know how to self-join. And if you do it the not self-joining way, it's still really hard. Ask any comments, and thank you for watching.